and I pray the Lord will guide us through today as I want to preach from this passage with his help from the topic, the necessary non-ingredient. The necessary non-ingredient. As I was preparing earlier in the week and digging into the passage, trying to discover the central theme and thrust of what the passage was saying to the original audience, the Lord brought to my memory an experience I had as a child. That was when my mother and I got together, and she assisted me in the baking of my first cake.
Oh my. Oh my.
Okay.
The baking of my first cake.
Okay.
And by that time, I had become quite experienced in eating cake.
All right.
But I never had the opportunity to bake a cake. And so, as many children probably have, they begged their parents to show us how to bake the cake. And on this particular time, my mother consented, and I was so excited about baking my first cake. And so she was my tutor, she was my teacher, and we got all of these things together, and I can't really remember all of the ingredients, but I remember we had to let the butter get all soft, and she would set it out usually with some butter and some sugar, and it would get all soft, and then we would put in all these other ingredients, and I think there was some flour in there.
Flour.
And I think there were some eggs in there, some butter and some sugar, and I think I had to put some milk in there, and a little bit of that nasty vanilla stuff.
Come on.
I can't, for the life of me, I don't know what that does. But I think we put a little bit of that vanilla abstract in there, and some other stuff, and maybe it was, I can't remember it, and it was all in a bowl, right?
Yeah.
And so we would stir that
Right.
thing up, and put the little beaters on the. People still do that, the beaters on
Yes,
the
sir.
little thing.
Yes, sir.
They would whip it around, and prior to baking the cake, if my mother was baking the cake, I would always ask her, can I lick the thing?
Right.
And so this time we got to do all of that, and I was trying to remember. I think we would take some Crisco and put it in our hands.
Yeah.
And line.
Right.
Get all, my mother say, get in the corner. All of that kind of stuff.
That's it.
I think today, I don't think in the world I would take my bare hands and I would do that, but I think that's what we did. Put it all around and on the inside and all that kind of stuff. And meanwhile, while all of that was going on, the oven was preheating
Right.
to wherever
Right.
that temperature was, and so after the thing was stirred and the thing was set to the right temperature, and then I would pour it into the pan, and I would have to get the spoon,
Right,
scrape
right.
the stuff out. Y'all know how to bake cakes?
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And then after that, my mother would say, kind of pick it up and kind of
Right.
tap it down. And
Yeah.
you see these little air bubbles
Right,
come up
right.
and get it all smooth, and all of that kind of stuff. And so then, I'm all excited, and I'm following these instructions, and it's in there, and tapped it, and little air bubbles came out, and then stuck it in the oven. And all of the ingredients were in the pan,
Right.
measured to their proper amount. I had all the necessary ingredients to bake a cake.
Yeah.
put it in the pan, put it in a preheated oven, but there was one thing that was needed that was not in the ingredients. It was a necessary ingredient, a necessary non-ingredient that allowed the ingredients to transform
Okay.
from this batter
Okay.
into this cake.
All right.
All right.
And the necessary non-ingredient was patience.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Right. Right.
Yeah.
The necessary non-ingredient was patience.
All right. All right.
I'm saying it was a non-ingredient because there was no patience in the bowl.
Right. Right.
There was
Right.
eggs in the bowl.
Right.
There was milk in the bowl, and
Right.
butter and sugar and vanilla extract and all these other things that were the ingredients that were needed to bake a cake.
Right.
And once you put all that stuff in there, in order for the ingredients to work, there was needful of a non-ingredient that allowed the ingredients to transform
Bless the Lord.
from batter.
I hear you. I hear you. Uh-huh.
So the necessary non-ingredient
Bless the Lord.
was patience.
All right. All right.
And as a young lad baking my first cake, patience
Don't.
was not a strength.
Right. Don't open that door.
I would try to come in there,
Right.
and we had a little
Right.
window, and I would come and I would peek through the window and want to turn the light on.
Right.
And my mother would say, "Just wait, son." It's got, and then I forget what it was, 40 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever the case may be, and seemed like every couple minutes came into that kitchen,
Right. Right.
looked through the little peephole to see if the batter had turned into cake.
Uh-huh.
Right. Right.
Uh-huh.
But without patience,
Mm.
it'd just be
That-
collection of ingredients.
Right.
And I want to tell you, Antioch, when it comes to spiritual
Help us, preacher.
development,
Come on. Come on. Come on.
when it comes to us becoming less like us
Okay.
and more like Jesus, there are certain ingredients
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
that need to be in the right amount in our lives.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ingredients that we can discover what those ingredients are
Stop.
in the Word of God.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Bless the Lord.
In our time with God.
All right.
Allowing Him to show us where we are in this maturation process. And the good news is that we don't have to know what all of the ingredients are in their proper amount because God takes care of all of that.
All right. All
He
right.
knows how much of this we need. He knows how much of that we need. He knows what to add to our lives. He knows what to take away from our lives. And He is the master baker
Yeah.
in charge of the ingredients
Yeah.
in our spiritual lives. But just like baking that cake, there is a necessary non-ingredient that if it's not present, the essential ingredients will not work the way they're supposed to.
Okay. Okay.
The necessary non-ingredient in our lives is patience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without patience, we don't allow the things that God has determined needful in our lives to actually bring about the transformation from one state to another.
Yeah.
Just like that cake. It was batter with ingredients in an oven under heat, under pressure, but
Uh-huh.
without time,
Yeah, yeah.
without a willingness
Yeah.
to endure,
Help us, God.
without remaining steadfast,
Yeah.
without patience, there would be no transformation. I'm talking about the cake. But my beloved Antioch, when it comes Christian development, we can have all of the ingredients
Yeah.
in our lives,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
but without patience,
Yeah.
without the necessary non-ingredient of endurance hanging in there,
All right, all right.
holding on to God's unchanging
Yes,
hand.
sir. Yes, sir.
Without the ability, as my daddy would say, to keep on keeping on,
Right, right.
there will be no transformation.
Yeah.
Our lives will just simply be a collection of immature ingredients.
Right, right.
And so the necessary non-ingredient in our lives is patience.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is one of the most challenging things
Yes, sir.
to do in our lives. Learning how to wait.
Oh, Lord, Lord. Help us today, Lord.
We go to drive-thrus
Oh no.
because we want our food
Right.
now.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
We get on our apps, get on the internet
Right.
because we want our information
Uh-huh.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
We get frustrated
Yes.
because things aren't the way we want them to be because it hasn't happened yet,
Uh-huh.
and we want changes to take place now.
You right.
We want our children to act right
Right now.
now.
Show enough.
We want our husbands to be better now.
Uh-huh.
We want our wives to be better
Now.
now. We want what we want, and we want it in a hurry.
Yeah.
That seems to be how our society is wired.
Yes.
If you can't get it now, go to somebody else.
Right.
That's how some people treat their relationships.
Ah.
When they can't
My
get what they
Lord.
want now from this person, instead of waiting,
Yeah.
they try to find it someplace else.
Yeah.
All because of lacking the necessary non-ingredient, which is patience.
Yes, sir.
I wonder how much better our lives would be
Oh, come on now.
if we would just learn how to wait.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder how many marriages would not have ended in divorce.
Oh, Lord.
Ouch!
Have mercy, Lord.
If we would just learn how to wait.
Yeah.
How many children would be better off
Ooh, Lord.
if their parents
Ooh, Lord.
would just learn
Yes.
how to wait?
Wait.
Just imagine the impact on this society if just the people of God would be more patient.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because in our impatience, when we lack the necessary non-ingredients, we set ourselves up to make bad choices.
You're right.
Help us to hear God.
Mm.
Help us to hear God.
You are so right. Huh.
When we take matters out of God's hands
Mm-hmm.
and place them in our hands, because we think we know what's needed
Right.
and we can do it faster than God.
Right.
And we decide to not wait on God
All right.
and do what we think
Right.
He ought to be doing.
Right.
We set ourselves up
Yes, sir.
for failure.
You're right. You're right. Preach that. Preach that.
That is the truth.
How much better would our lives be
Yeah.
Preach that.
Yes, sir.
if we would just learn
Just wait.
how to wait?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Teach us, Master,
Oh, God.
Please, Lord.
Yes. Give us a
how to
patient
wait.
heart.
Please, Lord. Please.
When I got out of high school,
It's me. It's me.
I wanted everything
Right. Right now.
right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
My parents worked from where they were to where they got. And I wanted to skip all of the
Right.
steps
Right.
of education, and of saving,
Right. Right.
of building up good credit. And I wanted what they saw, but didn't want to wait,
Mm-hmm.
take the proper steps
Yeah.
to get there.
Right.
All because I lacked the necessary non-ingredient
I'm with you.
of patience.
My God. My God.
How, Antioch, can we be better at waiting?
Teach us today.
Help us today, Lord. Help us today, Lord.
How can we learn
Yeah.
to put it in God's hands
Yeah.
and leave it there?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
sir.
it. That's it.
The
Uh-huh.
songwriter said, you can't hurry God.
Just gotta wait.
Just gotta wait.
Yeah.
Trust Him. Give Him time,
Yeah.
No matter how.
no matter how long it takes.
Yeah.
He's a God
You can't hurry.
you can't hurry.
Hey.
He'll be there. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
May not come
Right.
when you want it,
Hey.
but He's always on time.
Yeah.
It sounds good to sing it,
Right. That's it.
but how?
How do we live
Can
it?
we live it out?
Yeah. Help us
How
today.
can we pump the brakes and learn how to wait on the Master?
Yes, sir.
It is not in the batter, but it's what makes
Right.
what's in the batter
Right.
work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Amen.
It is the necessary non-ingredient.
Yeah.
So what does God's word have to say to us today
All right.
Let us
All
preach
right.
Right.
about this necessary non-ingredient of patience,
Yeah.
so that you and I can improve quality of our lives while we wait on the Master
All right.
to take us out of here.
All right.
It's all in the text today.
Yes, sir.
And the first thing that I see in the text about this necessary non-ingredient is simply the requirement. This answers the question of what
All right.
is the text instructing us to do. It is the requirement, and in fact, when I studied the text, I discovered that it is actually more than a suggestion, more than an instruction. It is in fact a command.
Yeah. All right.
And the primary command in the text is not patience. The primary command in the text is do not throw away. That's the command, y'all. Now, I know y'all looking at me funny. You would have thought that the command would be patience, but it's not. The necessary ingredient in the text is confidence.
Help us, doctor.
Uh-huh.
Because the text says, therefore,
Right.
do not throw away your confidence.
That's it.
Because you need it and it has great reward. It is the primary command of the entire paragraph. In other words, it is the ingredient that these second generation Christians needed in order for their lives to be transformed from what they used to be to what God is changing them into in light of their circumstances. What they needed was some confidence. So much so that the text says, do not throw away. Do not cast away. Do not neglect. Do not get rid of. Don't lose. Whatever you do, don't lose your confidence. That's the primary requirement in the text. It's the command that's given to the people that the book was written to. Don't lose confidence. Don't lose confidence. And in other words, what he's telling them is don't lose the boldness that you've already demonstrated. Don't lose the freedom that you have. Don't lose the lack of fear. Because that's what confidence is. It's boldness. It's freedom. Lack of fear in your relationship with God.
All right.
People who are confident are people who are not shrinking back 1 inch in terms of who God said they are, what God said they can do, what they can overcome, in spite of, irregardless of what's going on around them. That's confidence. And the question is, why would the author tell them to don't lose that? What was going on in their circumstance that might cause them to lose it, so that the writer would say, whatever you do, don't do it.
All right.
What was tempting them to trade in their confidence for fear? What was going on in their lives that would lead them to the possibilities of considering becoming timid and not remaining bold and confident? Well, if the text starts out by saying, therefore, clearly, we got to back it up. And if we look at verse 32, we can understand why he said what he said in the first place.
All right.
Verse 32 says these words, but recall the former days, when after you were enlightened, you endured a hard struggle with suffering, sometimes being publicly exposed to reproach and affliction, and sometimes being partners with those so treated. For you had compassion on those in prison, and you joyfully accepted the plundering of your property, since you knew that you yourselves had a better possession and an abiding one. Therefore, don't lose your confidence. You've been through so much. They talked about you.
Yes, Lord.
They persecuted you. You endured hardship and suffering simply because you're related to Jesus Christ. And you didn't shrink away. You didn't get quiet on God. You kept on trusting in
Yes,
him, kept on
right,
hoping in
right.
him, kept on believing in him, kept on talking about him. The more you talked, the more you got in trouble, but you didn't quit.
Right, right.
Therefore,
Don't
don't stop.
lose it. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
That's the requirement.
All right, all right.
Doesn't matter what's going on around you.
Yeah.
Don't throw away your confidence now.
My God, my God.
The same confidence that brought you through all
All
of the
that.
stuff
Yeah.
in the past
My.
to get you to this point.
Yes.
It's the same confidence,
Yes,
the
sir.
same boldness, the same freedom with lack of fear that you're going to need today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
After all, the text does say, which has a great reward. That's the requirement. Don't lose it. It's the same confidence that Daniel had when he prayed 3 times a day. The rule was that he couldn't do that, and the lion's den was the penalty.
Right,
And
right.
confidence said,
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep on praying.
Yeah.
It's the same confidence that Shadrach and
Yeah.
Meshach and Abednego demonstrated when the king said, when you hear the music, bow down. And they had confidence in God, no matter what the threat was. And they said that, oh king, we're not going to bow down.
No, no.
If we die, we die. But our
But he's
God
still God.
is
Yeah.
That's confidence.
Uh-huh.
It's the same confidence that Peter and the apostles demonstrated in the early church when the popo of the time arrested them and they said, we must obey God rather than man. It is a requirement of the people of God.
Yes, sir.
If you want to change your batter into a mature cake, what you need is some confidence.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The
Hallelujah.
next thing I see in the text is not only the requirement for confidence, which is what they needed, then the text tells them how.
All right.
All right.
And that's a great question. Because if you and I need confidence and boldness to deal with our circumstances, and we understand that it's a command, but it comes with a great reward. Question is, how, Pastor,
Wow.
Tell us.
can I demonstrate
Yeah.
this confidence?
All right.
Tell us.
Because if you're like me, what might happen is you start off good,
Right.
then you get to looking what's going on around
Right. That's what happens.
Yeah.
you. And the circumstances of life start to bully you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And before you know it, that boldness has turned into timidness,
Oh,
it's turned into quietness,
Yeah.
and then you in the shadow.
Lord. Oh, Lord. Help us
Right,
to
say
hear.
that.
How
That's
Help us to
it.
hear God.
can we become and remain confident?
All right. Help us today.
What is it that we need so that that ingredient of confidence can bring about the transformation that our lives need? It's a great question. It goes from the requirement to the realization. And here's the realization. The only way to remain confident is to be patient. I'm not making it up, y'all. It's right in the text. Therefore, do not throw away your confidence, which has great reward. For you have need of endurance. I'm commanding you, stay bold and don't be scared. But if you're going to do that, what you need is some endurance.
Yes, 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 yes.
That's the only way that your confidence will bring about transformation. It is the necessary non-ingredient. The command was don't throw away your confidence. The how, what you need, some endurance, some patience, some steadfastness. And so I did my word study, shared it with folk at the Bible study, and we made some amazing discoveries about what this word means in the text. We see it as endurance. Some places in the Bible it says patience. Some places in the Bible it says steadfastness.
Steadfast.
But it all comes from the same word. And here's what it means. It means to adhere to a course of action in spite of difficulty.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Huh.
With an element of hope. Expectation of what's down the road. That's what it means to endure. It means to keep on doing the things that you've committed to, regardless of what's going on, with hope, because you know what has been promised sooner or later will show up.
Yeah.
So he's telling them what you need is keep on doing what you know is right. What you need is to not be fazed by what's going on around you. What you need to know is that sooner or later, I'm going to do exactly what I said that I'm going to do. How can you and I remain confident when the bullies in our lives keep barking,
Help us to hear.
keep threatening, keep seeking to cause us to be distracted and take our eyes off of Jesus and place our eyes on circumstances? What you need is some patience.
Yeah.
The ability to continue to do the things that you know are right. Can I tell you what endurance
Please.
looks like?
Yes. Yes.
It looks like keep on praying. That's what patience looks like. It's adherence to a course of action despite circumstances with an expectation of hope, because you know what God said sooner or later he's going to do. Patience looks like praying all the time. Patience looks like spending time in the Word of God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Patience looks like keep on coming to church. Patience looks like continuing to engage in the work of ministry despite whatever. Patience looks like continuing to love your husband. Patience looks like continuing to love your wife. Patience looks like continuing to tell your children what's right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Patience looks like continuing to serve in causes that are for the betterment of our society, regardless of what you see going on. Patience looks like keep on doing the things that you know are right,
My God.
and don't quit
Help us today.
when it gets hard.
Yeah.
Man, you right, preacher.
Text
Thank you
says
for your word.
what you need is some endurance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so it gives us the requirement, which is boldness.
All right, all right.
confidence, freedom, and lack of fear. To go forward in your relationship with the Lord, no matter what's going on around you. The realization is you can't do it without hanging in there. That speaks to commitment.
My.
That's what patience looks like. Commitment. That's what it looks like, y'all. It seems like in the church today, we don't want to speak about commitment.
Oh my.
Because patience looks like commitment. And without commitment, you got undeveloped, immature Christians
My God.
that have ingredients, but they haven't given it enough time to bring about a change. Help us today.
Oh, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Requirement, the realization, and then God is so good that He gives us the rationale. If I'm going to keep on being committed in circumstances that look bleak, what I need to know is why.
All right, all right, all right.
That's just me.
Help us, preacher.
Apparently, that was the second generation believers in the text that the author is writing to. Apparently, God knew that they needed some proper motivation.
All right, all right.
So He told them what to do. Told them how to do
How to
it.
do it.
But then He needed to tell them why.
All right, all right.
Why should I endure when ain't nobody else?
All
Nah.
right, help us today. Help us today.
Why should I endure to a specific course of action when it ain't but a handful of us?
All right, all right. Come on.
Why should I keep on coming to Bible study and prayer meeting and it's the same faithful few? Why should I keep on singing in the choir? Why should I love my husband? Why should I do this? Everybody else is doing something different. Why?
Right.
Should I stay doing the things that I know that are right? When in my mind, I think it would be better if I did something else to be more productive with my precious time.
Right. You right.
Why
Guilty.
should I do what God says do?
Tell us, preacher.
It's right in the text.
Yeah.
The first reason I see as to the rationale for endurance, so that we can be confident in our relationship with the Lord, is to receive what has been promised. Whew, that's a good one, y'all. Why should you hang in there? To receive what has been promised. And read it for yourself.
Yeah.
For you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the will of God,
Yeah.
you may receive
Promise.
what is promised.
Yeah. That's what it said. That's what it said.
The Bible speaks to rewards. And rewards can be misunderstood. They can be abused. But they have their proper place in the life of a believer.
All right.
But they are not the same as relationship. Relationship was settled at Calvary.
All right.
At the cross,
Yeah.
where I first saw the light. And the burdens of my heart rolled away. It was there at the cross. By faith, I received my sight. And now I'm happy all the day. Relationship was settled at the cross. But rewards
Right. Two
are
different
still
things.
on the table.
I hear you.
Rewards can be gained and rewards can be lost.
Right.
my eternal destiny is secure.
Uh-huh.
Help us, preacher.
But to know that God got a little something extra waiting on me, depending upon how I do with what he gave me,
Right.
is a motivator.
Right. Right.
It's a nudge. It's a push in the right direction. Because sometimes when it gets tough, I don't always do what's right because it's right.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Sometimes I need a nudge to keep on going when the times get tough.
Uh-huh.
And the rewards sometimes push me over the hump. And it seems to me that God wants what's best for his people. And he not only wants them to have relationship, but he wants them to receive the reward. So he tells them what to do to get it. Hang in there. So that when you've done the will of God, you may receive what's promised.
Yes.
I'm not sure what it is, but God's got a present with my name on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I'm not going to forfeit it, I got to hang in there.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I will see his face regardless.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm looking, waiting, hoping. Oh, I want to see him look upon his face. There to sing forever of his saving grace. On the streets of glory, ever lift my voice. Cares all past, home at last.
Yeah.
Ever to rejoice.
Uh-huh.
But on top of all of that,
Yeah.
to know there is a reward that I can earn or lose is a motivator. That's why you ought to keep on keeping on and receive what is promised. Here's why you ought to keep on keeping on. Because Jesus is coming soon.
Yeah.
For yet a little while. Verse 37. And the coming one will come and will not.
Yeah.
Here's why you ought to keep on keeping on. Here's why you ought to hang in there. Stay committed. Stay the course. Don't turn from the left to the right of what you know is right, so that you can remain confident. And here's why you ought to do it. Because Jesus is coming soon. Some folk have been born, lived, and died waiting on soon. I was at the cemetery yesterday of a man who was born and lived and died waiting on soon. And I don't know when soon is going to show up. But the Bible says in a little while, the coming one will come and will not tarry. His patience is for our benefit. When we were a kid at Morning Star, there was a song, and part of the words of the song used to say, "Don't let him catch you with your work undone." Jesus is coming soon. That's it, y'all. That's the motivator.
Right.
The one who died for you. The one who was raised from the dead for you is coming soon. If you need a reason for patience, do it to receive what's promised. Do it because Jesus is coming soon. Last motivator I see in the text, do it because it's the only way to please God. It's right in the text. But my righteous one shall live by faith, and if he shrinks back, my soul has no pleasure in him. Stay confident by hanging in there. It's the only way. Please God. This amazing 10th chapter of Hebrews, surprisingly, when chapter 10 is over, guess what comes next? Chapter 11. And in chapter 11, it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And if you drop down just a few more verses, it says, but without faith, it is impossible to please God. That's why you ought to hang in there. That's why you ought to be bold and confident. That's why you ought to exercise your faith so that you can receive what's promised, because Jesus is coming soon. And it's the only way. Please God. We can't please God being dormant and passive and quiet and timid and waiting on everybody else to do the work of men. We can't please God that way by criticizing and not engaging and by discouraging and not encouraging. You can't please God doing none of that stuff. You got to get in the game. It's the only way.
That's the truth. Amen.
Please God.
Amen. Amen.
So there was first the requirement, which is confidence. There was the realization you can't do it without endurance.
Right.
Then there was the rationale so that we can please him, so that we can receive our reward, because he's coming back.
Yes, he is.
And then the last thing I see in the text, and time to kind of wrap it up, is the resolve. And here's the resolve. We are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but of those who have faith and preserve their souls. This is the resolve. This is the who. Be who you are. That's it. Be who you are. We're people of faith. So be who we are. We're people of trust.
Yes.
Be who you are.
Yeah.
We're people of great perseverance. It's in our history. It's a part of our DNA, our spiritual DNA, even our cultural DNA. Be who you are.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to tell you, Antioch, is stay the course. After all, that's what Jesus did. At the age of 12, I hear in the text where Jesus said, I must be about my Father's business. He stayed the course.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He was patient.
Yes, sir.
Despite those who wanted to make him king, and despite those who wanted to kill him, he stayed the course.
Right.
He was patient
Yes.
until he had done all that he was supposed to do. I hear Jesus say on the occasion after performing a miracle, and Jesus asked his disciples about, disciples asked Jesus about eating some food. I heard him say, my meat is to do the will
Yes, sir.
of him who sent me and to finish the work. He had the necessary non-ingredient of patience
Yes, sir.
to do what was necessary,
Yes, sir.
knowing that the payoff was down the road.
Yes, sir.
I heard him say in John chapter 9 on the occasion of healing a person who was born blind, I heard him say, I must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night coming
I comment when no
when
man.
no man can work. All I'm trying to tell you is Jesus had the necessary non-ingredients He was patient until the very end. I heard him say one time praying in the garden, knowing what was before him, Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but thine be done. And our Jesus demonstrated patience. He adhered to a course of action which was not to be the king of the people as they wanted, which was not to be killed in the way that they wanted. His mission was to go to the cross. He was patient, y'all. He endured. He didn't get sidetracked. They tried to kill him. They tried to talk about him. They lied on him. They tried to trap him. They said all kind of things, and they wanted to put him to death. But he kept on keeping on until he got to Calvary. And he died on that cross.
Yes, he did.
He did it for you, and he did it for me. Surely, if we share in his life, and he was patient, surely you and I can learn to wait over that. Not take things into our own hands and rush the process and mess up this beautiful cake that God is making in each one of our lives, knowing, hoping, trusting that God is watching over us. I trust in God. Wherever I may be, upon the land or on the rolling sea. For come what may, from day to day, my Heavenly Father watches over me. I trust in God. I know He cares for me. On mountain bleak or on the rolling sea. Though billows roll, He keeps my soul. My Heavenly Father watches over me.